Hey everyone, and welcome. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today for a brand new explainer. Today, we're unlocking the secrets to achieving a continuous, year-round supply of fresh parsley. Whether you're aiming to completely elevate your home cooking, or, you just really love the vibrancy of indoor greenery, this is going to be an incredibly rewarding project. So, ask yourself, do you want to enjoy fresh parsley all year round, straight from your own garden? I mean, imagine never having to buy another one of those sad, wilting, plastic-wrapped bunches from the grocery store ever again. Stay with us as we uncover the secrets to year-round parsley cultivation. And yes, this works beautifully whether you have a massive, sprawling backyard or literally just a tiny apartment kitchen counter. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start by meeting your parsley, navigating the great germination weight, comparing soil versus hydroponic setups, dialing in your feeding and care, troubleshooting any inevitable hiccups, and finally, harvesting for those year-round yields. Let's get to it. Starting right off with Section 1, meet your parsley, specifically flat leaf versus curly. Before we even get our hands dirty, you should know that parsley is this incredibly versatile, cold-hardy biennial plant that is just packed with vitamins A, C, and K. But when you go to buy seeds, you'll hit a classic culinary debate, flat leaf versus curly. Which one should you actually grow? Well, if your main goal is cooking, flat leaf, often called Italian parsley, is hands down the winner. Chefs absolutely prefer it because it has a stronger, richer, kind of peppery flavor and a much tenderer texture that melts right into sauces and stews. Curly parsley, on the flip side, has a milder flavor and a firmer, more fibrous texture. Historically, it got really popular just as a decorative plate garnish, so bottom line, plant flat leaf for flavor and curly for aesthetics. Now take a look at this. Both of these varieties stay incredibly compact when you give them proper overhead light. We're talking taking up no more space than the footprint of a coffee mug. This compact nature makes them the absolute perfect candidate for a sunny indoor windowsill, a small apartment balcony, or one of those little countertop hydroponic systems. Moving right along to Section 2, the great germination weight. And trust me, patience is key here. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys right now. This specific phase is exactly where most beginners assume they've failed and just throw in the towel. Parsley has a notoriously tough outer seed coating. So step 1 is you've got to soak your seeds in room temperature water for 24 hours before you plant them. This softens that hard shell and speeds up the whole process. Step 2, plant them shallow, only about 1/4 of an inch deep in your soil, or just drop 2 to 3 seeds into a rock wool cube if you're going the hydroponic route. Finally, step 3, keep that growing medium consistently damp. Not flooded, just damp, in a warm room hovering around 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, even with that perfect preparation, I want you to burn this number into your memory, 14 to 21. That is how many days it typically takes for parsley seeds to finally sprout. If you're used to growing something like basil, which pops up in like 5 days, you might seriously think your parsley seeds are dead by day 10. They are not dead, they're just slow. You really have to reset your expectations. Keep that soil damp, and whatever you do, don't throw away perfectly good seeds. All right, let's jump to Section 3, soil and hydroponic setups. It's time to choose your path. Once those seeds do finally sprout, you need to decide where they're going to live long term. For indoor apartment growers, hydroponics is a real game changer because it totally ignores outdoor seasons. Here's a quick breakdown of your options. The Cracky method literally just uses a simple glass jar. It's the lowest effort, completely silent, which is great for quiet apartments, though the growth is a little slower. Deep water culture uses an air pump to oxygenate the roots. It takes moderate effort, and you will hear a slight hum, but man, it produces the fastest growth. Lastly, automated smart gardens take all the guesswork out with built-in lights and timers, making it a brilliant middle ground for absolute beginners. But hey, if you prefer traditional pots or outdoor garden beds, here are your optimal conditions. Parsley loves 6 to 8 hours of sun, although it actually tolerates partial shade way better than Mediterranean herbs like rosemary. You'll want your soil pH sitting slightly acidic between 5.5 and 6.7. Aim for well-draining, loamy soil mixed with some nice aged compost. And the golden rule for soil growers, parsley likes steady moisture. Don't let the soil completely dry out like it's a cactus, but make sure that pot drains well because it will absolutely not survive in waterlogged, muddy roots. Which brings us to Section 4, feeding, watering, and care. These are the precision metrics. Once your plant is established, guessing just isn't going to cut it if you want high yields. For hydroponic growers, these specific targets are your holy grail. Your electrical conductivity, or EC, should be 1.0 to 1.2 for seedlings, bumping up to 1.4 to 1.8 for mature plants. Keep your pH strictly between 5.8 and 6.5. Temperature is best between 65 and 75 degrees. Parsley actually really likes it slightly cool. And for your lighting, hang those LEDs 6 to 8 inches above the canopy and run them for 14 hours on and 10 hours off. That 10-hour dark period, absolutely crucial. The plant needs that metabolic rest just as much as it needs light. Now, let's clarify your watering routine because this is huge. You should be topping off your reservoir's water level daily with plain pH-adjusted water as the plant drinks. However, you absolutely must perform a full reservoir change every 2 weeks. Why? Because as the plant drinks the water, it leaves certain nutrient salts behind. If you only ever top off, those salts concentrate over time and actually become toxic to the plant. A complete water change is non-negotiable. It hits the reset button.
Okay, Section 5, Pests, Diseases, and Troubleshooting. Let's talk about fixing failures.
Because let's face it, even with the absolute best care, things can go sideways. And this brilliantly illustrates a cue that catches almost everyone off guard: chlorosis. Notice how this older leaf is turning yellow at the edges, but the veins are still green? Most beginners see this, panic, assume the plant is starving, and just dump in more fertilizer. Actually, scratch that. It's almost always caused by low nitrogen levels, or, much more commonly in hydroponics, pH drift that has literally locked the nutrients out. Always, always check your pH before you add more food. The cool thing is, we can reverse engineer almost any environmental failure just by looking at the plant. If you check your roots and they're slimy and brown, that's root rot, usually because your water is too warm and holding too little oxygen. Cool your reservoir down below 72 degrees. What if your stems are pale and stretched out? Your plant is literally reaching for the sun. Lower your grow lights to 6 to 8 inches. And if your plant suddenly shoots up a tall flower stalk and the leaves taste bitter, it's bolting because it's too hot. Cool the room down to save your crop. Now, for those of you growing outdoors in soil, your biggest enemies are fungal and bacterial diseases, like septoria leaf spot and bacterial leaf blight. These guys spread like wildfire through rain and overhead watering. You can prevent them by watering right at the base of the plant to keep the leaves dry. Also, practice a 2-year crop rotation so soil-borne diseases die off. And if you do see spotting, apply an ONRA-approved copper fungicide immediately. Early detection is absolutely everything here. And finally, Section 6, Harvesting for year-round yields. This is the cut-and-come-again method. We made it to the fun part. But listen, how you cut your parsley completely determines whether you get a single garnish or a continuous months-long supply. First rule, do not touch the plant until the stems are at least 6 inches tall, which is usually 6 to 8 weeks after it sprouts. When you are ready, use what we call the outer stem cutting method. Snip the older outer stems about an inch above the base. Step 3 is the most vital part. Always leave the center inner shoots completely intact. Those tiny inner leaves are your harvest for next month. If you just shear the plant flat across the top, you're removing the growing points and you'll stall the plant for weeks. Don't do it. Once you've got that beautiful fresh harvest, please don't just toss it in a sealed plastic container. It's going to turn to green slime in 3 days. Instead, try this. Store your fresh cuttings standing upright in a glass with about an inch of water at the bottom, exactly like a bouquet of flowers. Loosely cover the top with a plastic bag and stick it in the fridge. They will stay incredibly crisp for well over a week. It's a total game changer. All right, just a quick professional disclaimer before we wrap things up. While this explainer is based on extensive research drawn from agricultural extensions and top hydroponic experts, environmental factors are always going to play a role. Your local humidity, your tap water quality, the seasonal sunlight, all of that affects your results. So use these specific numbers as your baseline, but don't be afraid to observe your own plant and adapt these techniques to suit your unique conditions. So, we've covered the seeds, the setups, the science, and the whole shebang. Now it's over to you. What is going to be your very first delicious recipe once your year-round parsley garden is thriving? Are we talking a fresh chimichurri, a hearty stew, or maybe a vibrant tabbouleh salad? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Get those seeds soaking and happy growing.